On the news tonight, Governor Sheriff Oboriwori directs Bursary and Scholarship Board to commence payment of 2023 bursary to qualified students of Delta State origin. State Ministry of Justice indicates readiness to partner with State Orientation Bureau in the fight against illicit drug use. Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited constructs 150 million liters storage facility for Port Harcourt Refinery Company ahead of full operation of the plants. Abroad, Israeli troops clash with Hamas fighters continues as they advance with Western Khan Yunis. Good evening. Welcome to Delta TV Main News Tonight. My name is Francis Ofudwe. Governor Sheriff Oboriwori has directed the Delta State Bursary and Scholarship Board to commence payment of the 2023 bursary to qualified students of the state origin by the first week of February. The governor called for more solidarity from the students' community towards the pursuit and fulfillment of his MORE agenda. Governor Oboriwori gave the directive following his approval for the release of funds for the payment of the 2023 bursary to students. The governor's directive was contained in a statement by the Executive Secretary of the State Bursary and Scholarship Board, Dr. Godfrey Enita. A two-day retreat to enable the State Assembly draft its legislative agenda began today with a charge to the lawmakers to ensure sustainable development of the state through legislative measures. Favor Okafor has details.
Welcoming lawmakers to the retreat held in Asaba, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Honorable Emma Motimiguo, said the retreat was designed to equip the House to reflect on the developmental aspirations and plans of the current administration, with the theme Building a Sustainable Future for Deltans through Complementary and Proactive Legislative Intentions. The Speaker told the lawmakers that, as representatives of the various constituencies, they had a duty to ensure sustainable development in the state through legislative measures. He said the legislative agenda, which will be a policy document to guide the activities of the 8th Assembly, will enhance the legislative-executive relationship for good governance. The Speaker said in the Committee of State Legislatures, the state is among the first few that has a legislative agenda, stating that the 7th Assembly set the tone for visioning, strategic planning, and agenda setting. The Speaker said the 8th Assembly intended to consolidate on that foundation.
As representative of the people, we have a duty to ensure sustainable development of the state through legislative measures. The House is expected to articulate and develop its legislative agenda that will align with and support the realization of the goals noted in the MORE agenda of His Excellency, Right Honorable Francis Romero.
The lead facilitator of the retreat, Mr. John Mutu, said the Delta State House of Assembly was among the first in the country to already have a legislative plan, adding that while other states were still struggling with pre-induction plans, the state legislature was already structuring a blueprint for a strategic planning agenda. While commending the leadership of the Assembly for its purpose-driven goals, Mr. Mutu advised the state legislature to maintain its pride of place in legislative practices and procedures among its counterparts in the country.
Only Delta, APT, and Lagos have a legislative agenda. Not even, and Lagos does not even have now, because the 8th Assembly that made an attempt here, I support it, did not be able to take it forward.
Favor Okafor reporting.
The contractor handling the International Conference Center being built inside the Government House at Asaba has been charged to redouble efforts to meet the completion date. The Commissioner for Special Projects, Barrister Funge Manager, gave the charge while speaking with newsmen shortly after inspection of the project. Ejimel Dreme reports.
Sections inspected included the 1,500-seating conference hall, 1,000 capacity banquet hall, auxiliary lobbies, meeting rooms, art gallery, and shops. Barrister Manager said the aim of the visit was to ascertain the level of work done so far and commended the contractor for the pace and quality of job. He said the project, expected to be completed by the end of the year, would host both local and international conferences, stressing that it would also be a source of revenue for the state.
A lot. The state stands to gain a lot from this project upon completion, because already we have the state secretariat, which will function as offices for people who are in government and civil servants alike. And then we have this place for government-owned events, so to say. Not just government, even private personalities can come and pay some things and use the place for a period of time. So at the end of the day, it will benefit the state and even bring revenue to the state.
The commissioner reminded the contractor of the need to stick to standard, pointing out that the administration of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has zero tolerance for substandard projects.
A lot must have happened that must have warranted them not to probably meet up with the 24 months program or period that was originally agreed upon. However, I think the contractor should step up and take the bull by the horn and make sure that, even if we cannot get it done, because obviously we cannot get this done completely before the end of the 24 months program, which we allowed by June. However, before the end of this year, if the contractor is serious and with government backing, I think we can get it done. It is achievable.
The project consultant, Mr. Kesta Ifadi, who conducted the commission around the project, said the job awarded in 2022 would be ready for inauguration before the end of the year. He gave an assurance that the project on completion will be a huge asset to the state because of the businesses that will be carried out at the center.
From what we have seen here, the pace of work is quite impressive. And what is even more important is the quality of work. We are quite impressed with the quality of work here. And we should just encourage the contractor to be more serious in terms of delivering, because you can see that we still have quite some distance to go.
Ejime Uduime reporting.
Has commended the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, NMCN, for the approval given to it for the upgrade of the schools of midwifery in the state to offer higher national diplomas, as well as the accreditation of nursing degree programs at 2 of the state's new universities. The commendation came today from the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Kingsley Emu, during when he played host to the council at the SSG Complex, Asaba. Sams Ohojite reports.
Dr. Emu said the upgrade of the midwifery schools in Asaba and Sapele, as well as the accreditation of the nursing programs in the University of Delta Agbo and the Dennis Osadebe University Asaba, will start the production of nurses to counter the current shortfall of medical personnel in the country due to brain drain. He assured the council that the government was committed to upgrading the infrastructure in the colleges of nursing, while stating that the governor, Honorable Sheriff Oborevwori, had approved the recruitment of tutors for the various nursing colleges. The SSG stressed that the newly converted universities had existed as polytechnic and colleges of education with proper funding before their conversion. Hence, they could properly function and run any program fully fledged. He expressed confidence in the ability of the state to produce nurses and midwives, as well as other health professionals that would attract medical tourism into the state and the country at large, as the states place priority on quality education.
Seeking to have every profitable revenue to contribute to the knowledge of this country, and if possible, commence the process of exporting much needed nurses all over the world, because the demand for nursing is limitless. Everywhere you go to, that you have a reputation for doing good things.
The Registrar and Secretary General of the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, Alhaji Farouk Abubakar, remarked that the state had a track record of living up to standards and fulfilling its commitment, hence the approval for the upgrade of 2 midwifery schools, as well as the accreditation of nursing programs in 2 of the state's new universities.
3 colleges, schools of nursing to 3 colleges at once. And I was here personally to unveil those 3 colleges of nursing for the knowledge. And that's why we strategize to upgrade all the schools of nursing to status of collegiate system.
Alhaji Abubakar said Nigerian nurses were among the best in the world, adding that their constant effort to develop countries had put the council on its toes to produce more nurses and midwives. He appealed to the state government to admit and train community nurses and midwives from rural areas who would work at primary health care centers and help reduce the high maternal and infant mortality rates. Sams Okojite reported.
Of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Abubakar Walda Esquire has appealed to the state governor, Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, to prioritize the completion and commissioning of the state Drug Addicts Counseling and Rehabilitation Center situated in Kwale, Nduka West local government area, saying that the agency could not do much in the area of rehabilitation in the absence of a well-equipped facility. Barrister Walda made the appeal when he received the Executive Assistant on Communications and Orientation to the State Governor and Chief Executive Officer of the State Orientation Bureau, DSOB, Dr. Wilfred Oganesiwe, who led management staff of the Bureau to his office. He noted that Governor Oborewori was worried about the rising cases of drug abuse and trafficking in Delta State and across the country, judging from the genuine concerns he expressed during the recent visit of the NDLEA Director General, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, adding that, when completed, the Kwale Counseling and Rehabilitation Center would also provide skill acquisition and vocational training programs to assist rehabilitated individuals in starting new lives. The NDLEA official observed that drug abuse remained a major challenge confronting humanity all over the world, which over the years had escalated, especially among youths, while calling on Deltans to report and give useful information of drug abuse and trafficking to NDLEA authorities at their office in Ogwashuku, Aniocha West local government area, assuring the public that dedicated telephones would be published in the social media to help drive the process. Barrister Wada urged the state government to do more in the area of campaigns against drug abuse and sensitization of citizens through the State Orientation Bureau, saying that the rising cases of substance abuse and its negative consequences on security and socio-economic development could not be overemphasized. Earlier, the Executive Assistant to the State Governor on Communications and Chief Executive Officer of Delta State Orientation Bureau, Dr. Wilfred Oganesiwe, said the aim of the visit was to familiarize himself with the commander and his team based on their recent agreement to jointly commence campaigns against drug abuse and trafficking, targeting secondary schools and institutions of higher learning across the state. He added that Governor Oborewori was passionate about the well-being of citizens, especially the youth population, who were majorly the victims of drug dealers and retailers, adding that the State Orientation Bureau, under his watch, would do the needful to help curb the menace through result-orientated collaborative efforts with the NDLEA, ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, as well as non-government organizations, NGOs, among major stakeholders in the state. He commended the NDLEA management team for their strategic efforts in the area of arrest and prosecution of drug traffickers, retailers and courier companies in the ongoing drug war and the tremendous achievements recorded across the country under the Director General of the agency, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa. A highlight of the visit was the decoration of the head of the State Orientation Bureau and Executive Assistant on Communications to the State Governor, Dr. Wilfred Oganesiwe, as advocate of war against drug abuse, WADA. The State Governor, Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, is the ambassador of WADA. Deputy commanders of the NDLEA in the state and management staff of the State Orientation Bureau witnessed the visit. The State Ministry of Justice has indicated its readiness to partner with the Delta State Orientation Bureau and other stakeholders in the war against illicit drug use, illegal migration, and all forms of abuse. The State Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Mr. Omamozo Erebe, gave the indication when he played host to the Chief Executive Officer of the Orientation Bureau and Executive Assistant to the Governor on Communication and Orientation, Dr. Wilfred Oganesiwe, in his office in Asaba. Mr. Erebe cited the worrisome increase in illicit drug use, violence and rape including molestation of children, among other forms of abuse and exploitation, saying the ministry would continue to do its best to prosecute offenders and keep them away from responsible citizens. He commended the efforts of the Orientation Bureau in sensitizing the public on vital issues affecting life, health, and harmonious existence, describing the CEO of the Bureau, Dr. Wilfred Ogunesiwe, as a communication strategist par excellence who would achieve tremendous results in the area of effective sensitization and far-reaching media campaigns against vices and untoward behavior. Earlier, the head of the Orientation Bureau and executive assistant to the governor on communication and orientation, Dr. Wilfred Ogunesiwe, intimated Solicitor General of the activities and goals of the Orientation Bureau in eradicating or drastically reducing drug abuse, illegal migration, rape and violence, among other undesirable trends. He drew the attention of the Ministry of Justice to the phenomenon of some non-government organizations engaging in awareness campaigns in the state without collaborating with the State Orientation Bureau, pointing out that it was out of place for the Bureau not to be involved in any kind of campaign or sensitization program or exercise within the state. The executive assistant commended the State Solicitor General for the huge successes recorded by the State Ministry of Justice in the prosecution of matters relating to illegal migration, rape, child defilement, and other criminal matters, adding that the moral agenda of Governor Sheriff Oborewori captured the youth to a large extent, while the campaign and sensitization programs of the Orientation Bureau also targeted the youth audience across the 3 senatorial districts. Dr. Ogunesiwe thanked the Ministry of Justice for its willingness to provide information that would further drive the collaboration and partnership in campaigns and sensitization programs in the state. Education secretaries in the state have been charged to be deliberate and improving the standard of education in their localities. The chairman of the State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, Honorable Samuel Marere, gave the charge yesterday during the maiden meeting with education secretaries from 25 local government areas of the state at the SUBEB headquarters office, Asaba, while emphasizing that their proactive actions will determine the educational future of their children. Honorable Marere reiterated his resolve to work tirelessly toward increasing enrollment rates in public primary schools in the state through improved service delivery, infrastructure, and manpower. The SUBEB chairman added that the board would not tolerate indiscipline among head teachers, urging the education secretaries to ensure that no one was found indulging in any form of illegal collection of fees and levies. He disclosed that the board would visit communities and hold town hall meetings with communities to involve them in school ownership and management, explaining that the initiative was aimed at improving security in schools as well as to safeguard school infrastructure against vandalization. The Dean of the Education Secretaries, Mrs. Esiso Roselyn, on behalf of the Education Secretaries, commended the board and its management for the parley, even as she assured the SUBEB chairman of their support and cooperation, present at a meeting where top officials of the Basic Education Board. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has resolved the protracted dispute between the 6 area councils of the Nigerian Union of Teachers and UT. Mr. Wike also disclosed that the dispute between the councils and the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, was equally resolved. The minister disclosed this during a security meeting with the FCT Council of Chiefs in Abuja. It would be recalled that the FCT wing of the NUT on January 15 directed primary school teachers in the FCT to begin an indefinite strike. The strike was a continuation of an earlier one suspended by the union in 2023 over non-payment of a 40% peculiar allowance and 25 months of minimum wage arrears, among other issues. The NUT suspended the strike on October 2, 2023 to allow for the resolution of the issues within 6 weeks, which was not achieved. The chairman, FCT Council of Chiefs and owner of Abaji, Alhaji Adamu Yunusa, appealed to the minister to wade into the crisis, lamenting that children were wasting away at home due to the ongoing strike. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has constructed a 150 million litre storage facility for the Port Harcourt Refining Company ahead of full operations of their plants. It said the storage facility was constructed in Atlas Cove Other than that, the company had signed, build, operate and transfer agreements for the rehabilitation of pipelines and storage facilities nationwide. The Atlas Cove Jetty is a major installation of NNPCL for receipt and distribution of petroleum products to the western part of Nigeria and is located within the precinct of Tarakwa Bay in Lagos State. The National Oil Company further revealed that its retail arm distributed about 14 billion liters of white products in 2023. White products include premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, automotive gas oil or diesel, and dual-purpose kerosene, otherwise referred to as kerosene. The company further stated that an aviation arm had been created that would supply fuel to 3 international carriers, adding that more airlines would be served in due course. It added that from concluding crude oil swap arrangements to achieving mechanical completion of Port Harcourt Refinery, NNPC Limited's downstream sector marked 2023 with triumphs. It stated that key infrastructures were being put in place ahead of full operations of the Port Harcourt Refinery. Ahead of full operations, NNPC Limited has put in place 150 million liters fully automated storage capacity at Atlas Cove. NNPC Limited also inked, build, operate and transfer agreements for the rehabilitation of pipelines and storage facilities across Nigeria. And now, in an effort to safeguard the health and future of Nigeria's youth, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has inaugurated the Don't Burn Their Future campaign. The initiative addresses the alarming rise in young and underage access to tobacco products and aims to curb the detrimental impact on society. Speaking at a launch in Lagos, the acting executive vice chairman of the FCCPC, Dr. Adamu Abdullahi, emphasized the dynamic nature of sound health, which encompasses physical, mental, and social well-being. According to Abdullahi, the campaign underscores the collective responsibility of individuals, communities, and the prioritized healthcare system in fostering a healthier future for the youth. He highlighted the grave risk associated with youth tobacco use, ranging from impact on brain development to respiratory issues and increased nicotine dependence, noting that 4.5 million Nigerians aged 15 and above are tobacco users, with more than 26,800 annual deaths attributed to tobacco-related diseases. The Minister of Health, Professor Mohammed Pate, noted that the campaign by the FCCPC is in alignment with the national objective of tobacco control. He explained that among other issues, tobacco is a major risk factor for non-communicable diseases like hypertension, stroke, cancers, diabetes, and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has assured the people of Kiana Local Government Area, Nasarawa State, of its readiness to conduct a free and fair rerun election in the affected ward. Madam Kudu Haruna, INEC's National Commissioner, North Central, gave the assurance at a stakeholders meeting yesterday in Kiana. He said the essence of the meeting was to underscore the need for a peaceful conduct of the election and to also plead with the electorate to come out peacefully on February 3 to exercise their civil responsibility. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has assured the people of Kiana Local Government Area, Nasarawa State, of its readiness to conduct a free and fair rerun election in the affected ward. Madam Kudu Haruna, INEC's National Commissioner, North Central, gave the assurance at the stakeholders meeting yesterday in Kiana. He said the essence of the meeting was to underscore the need for a peaceful conduct of the election and to also plead with the electorate to come out peacefully on February 3 to exercise their civic responsibility. Madam Haruna said the Commission was committed to conducting a free and fair election, saying that it has sufficient materials needed for the smooth conduct of the exercise. He advocated for the spirit of sportsmanship among the candidates. Madam Haruna expressed appreciation to the people of Kiana for taking their civic responsibility seriously. The Supreme Court has upheld the election of Governor Similaye Fubara of Rivers State. The court, in a unanimous decision by a 5-member panel led by Justice Kudirat Kekere Ekun, today dismissed as lacking in merit an appeal the candidate of the All Progressive Congress APC, Mr. Tony Cole, filed to challenge the outcome of the governorship election that held in the state on March 18, 2023. In the lead judgment that was delivered by Justice Ibrahim Salawa, the Apex Court said it found no reason to dislodge the concurrent verdicts of the Court of Appeal and the Rivers State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal, which upheld Mr. Fubara's victory at the poll. The court held that Mr. Cole did not establish that the election was not conducted in compliance with provisions of the Electoral Act 2022. It will be recalled that the APC pulled out from the case against Governor Fubara of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, while it was being heard by the Rivers State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal. Despite the position of the party not to challenge the declaration of Mr. Fubara as winner of the gubernatorial contest by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mr. Cole vowed to prosecute his petition to its logical conclusion. INEC had declared that Fubara of the PDP polled a total of 302,614 votes to defeat his closest rival, Cole of the APC, who got a total of 95,274 votes. Dissatisfied with the outcome of the poll, Mr. Cole approached the tribunal to challenge it. The appellant, among other things, alleged that the Rivers State governorship poll was marred by corrupt practices, insisting that it was not conducted in substantial compliance with provisions of the Electoral Act 2022. More so, Mr. Cole alleged that Mr. Fubara did not validly resign his previous position as required by the law before the election held. You are watching Delta TV Main News. Still to come, Israeli troops clash with Hamas fighters continues as they advance with Western Khan units. Stay with us.
Now available in new flavors.
At 8, the global scene is next as we join our World News Desk.
Refugee Agency UNRWA said at least 12 people were killed and 75 injured when a UN facility sheltering civilians was struck in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. UNRWA said 2 shells hit its Khan Yunis training center during lightning in the city's western outskirts. Its commissioner, Mr. Felipe Lazzarini, condemned the disregard of basic rules of war. Israel's military said the incident was the result of an air or artillery strike by its forces, adding that it was reviewing Israeli operations nearby, while examining the possibility it could be Hamas fire. Israeli troops have been battling Hamas fighters as they advance into western Khan Yunis, a day after the military said it had completely encircled the city. Clashes and bombardment around the city's 2 main hospitals have also left thousands of patients, staff and others unable to leave. The conflict triggered by an unprecedented cross-border attack by Hamas gunmen on southern Israel on October 7, 2023, in which about 1,300 people were killed and about 250 others taken hostage, have killed more than 25,700 people in Gaza since then. Kenya's mining minister, Mr. Salim Muvrai, said first deposits of the valuable mineral coltan has been discovered. Mr. Muvrai said the discovery was expected to create more jobs and expand Kenya's mining industry. The Democratic Republic of Congo holds more than 70% of the world's coltan reserves, which have for decades fueled violent conflict in the east of the country. Deposits of the mineral were found in 6 counties across Kenya, but their value is yet to be determined. Coltan is often refined into metallic tantalum, a high-resistant powder used to produce capacitors, which are used to manufacture electronic devices. The price of coltan depends on how much tantalum it contains. On average, a kilogram of the rare ore is $48. A Japanese man, Mr. Shinzo Ahoba, has been sentenced to death for an arson attack at a Kyoto animation studio in 2019, which killed 36 people and injured dozens more. The incident, one of Japan's deadliest in recent decades, killed mostly young artists and shocked the anime world. Mr. Ahoba, 45, pleaded guilty to the attack, but his lawyers had sought a lighter sentence on the grounds of mental incompetence. Judges rejected the sentence, ruling that Mr. Ahoba knew what he was doing. Many of the animation staff, young artists, were killed after being trapped on the upper floor of the studio as the fire spread. Prosecutors demanded the death penalty for Mr. Ahoba, saying he was motivated to attack the studio after believing his work had been stolen. Mr. Ahoba said Kyoto Animation plagiarized a novel he entered into their contest. Japan retains capital punishment for its most serious crimes, like multiple murders, and the death penalty is conducted by hanging. The Koyoni Studio in Kyoto is a beloved institution known for producing films and graphic novels that are well regarded by fans as well as critics.
And now in business, oil marketers have appealed to the federal government to grant them tax relief to ameliorate their sufferings due to the harsh economic conditions. The marketers, under the auspices of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, said their investment in the oil sector no longer yields any profit, especially after President Bola Tinubu removed fuel subsidy. The Vice President of IPMAN, Mr. Hamed Fashola, said members of the association were no longer making profits, but were just wetting their filling stations to keep them alive. Mr. Fashola lamented that IPMAN members do not get direct supply from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, saying they are buying from third parties. He explained that the private depot were selling at 620 naira to 621 naira per litre for marketers. And still in business, the Federal Inland Revenue Service surpassed its 2023 revenue target by 816 billion naira, a 107% performance over the set goal, and has set a target to collect 19.4 naira turn in tax this year. The coordinating director of Special Tax Operations Group, Amina Aldo, disclosed this at a 2024 management retreat yesterday. The federal government expects 19.41 trillion naira revenue from the FIRS in 2024. This target represents a significant increase of 56.9% from the previous year's actual revenue and 67.91% from the previous year's target. FIRS had a target of 11.56 trillion naira. However, it realized 12.37 trillion naira and 816 billion naira higher last year. While stating the strategy the agency will deploy to achieve the 19.4 trillion naira revenue, Mr. Ado noted that the agency engaged with other regulators in 2023 to achieve its success and will continue to engage them, other tax practitioners and intermediaries this year. She added that the FIRS will ensure its service delivery to taxpayers is improved while it will reorganize litigation and prosecution to make sure those who are not compliant will be brought to book. The FIRS also recorded a 21.7% increase in its 2022 revenue of 10.18 trillion naira. The trend of increase in projected revenue has been maintained between 2019 and 2023, where it recorded 5.262 trillion naira, 4.952 trillion naira, 6.403 trillion naira, 10.179 trillion naira, and 12.374 trillion naira, respectively. And from business news, we move to sports news. Jude Abayeke is already ready to give us sports news tonight. Do stay with us.
evening and welcome to Sports News. Cameroon star striker and captain Vincent Aboubakar has returned to full training ahead of the round of 16 clash between the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon and the Super Eagles of Nigeria at the ongoing CAF Africa Cup of Nations taking place in Cote d'Ivoire. Aboubakar, who had missed Cameroon's group games due to injury, returned to full training yesterday after the five-time Africa Cup of Nations winners had their first training following their landing in Abidjan today ahead of round of 16 clash with Nigeria. The bully striker who picked the injury during Cameroon's first training in Yamoussoukro ahead of a group opening match had been sidelined alongside winger Clinton Nje, who also returned to full training yesterday. The return of the duo had further boosted the Cameroonian side as they faced perennial foes in a titanic battle on Saturday at the Felix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium in Abidjan at 9 p.m. Nigerian time, the same venue where it defeated the Jetons of Guinea-Bissau in the last group game. Nigeria and Cameroon had last met at the 2019 edition of the competition in Egypt, with Nigeria triumphing 3-2 to advance to the semi-final stage. The head coach of the Nigerian male handball team, the Golden Arrows, Rafiu Salami, has assured that the team will be triumphant when they face Cameroon in the quarterfinal of the ongoing African Handball Championship in Egypt. Salami said his side was in good shape to emerge victorious against their neighbors, saying the players have decided not to leave the tournament without making a statement despite fighting for the 9th to 10th placement title called the President's Cup. He said though the Cameroonians are known to be very physical, his side will work around the physicality of the Cameroonians to claim victory. The former national team player whose side held on to defeat a strong Libyan side 31-24 to qualify for the President's Cup asserted that the Cameroonians would not pose much of a problem as they play like the Congolese side, and the similarity in their game would be a big boost to the Golden Arrows, who will shoot down the Cameroonians in tomorrow's crunch time. And in tennis, Australian Open Women defending champion Aryna Sabalenka continued the defense of her title after fighting off hard playing Coco Gauff of the United States in the semi-final to make it to the final where she would face Qinwen Zheng of China. The world number 2 had been favored to continue her title defense despite facing 19-year-old Gauff in the semi-final as she proved the better player after beating the American 7-6, 6-4 to make it to the Australian Open final for the second time in a row. The Belarusian, who lost to Gauff in the final of last year's USA Open, entered the game seeking to avenge her loss last year in the season-ending Grand Slam and got a pound of flesh against the fast-rising American, who is ranked 4th in the world. Sabalenka will face Qinwen Zheng of China in the final on Saturday in Melbourne, with the Chinese, who is still basking in the euphoria of a victory over Diana Yamstreka of Ukraine, who had a fairy tale run to the semi-final after entering the Australian Open as an unranked player, looking to do the unthinkable as she looks to win her first ever Grand Slam title after making it to the first ever final. She hopes to raise the title of Sabalenka and become the 3rd Chinese player in recent history to win a Grand Slam title. That's Sports News. Francis returns shortly.
Okay, we return to other stories now, where the governor, Sheriff Borowori, has commiserated with the Okitakwe family, the Ekakmambre community, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Ughelli South local government area, and Yoruba Nation on the passing of elder statesman, Chief Patrick Okitakwe. Chief Okitakwe, who hailed from Ekakmambre in Ughelli South local government area, was a founding leader of the PDP. He died on Monday at the age of 86. Governor Borowori, in a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Safes Zahon, in Asaba today, recalled the immense contributions of the political colossus and business mogul to the political and socio-economic development of Delta State. The governor said, as an industrialist, Chief Okitakwe founded several companies that provided employment for numerous Deltans and other Nigerians, adding that the Yoruba nation would miss the tremendous contributions of the late elder statesman. He described Chief Okiti Akpe's demise as a monumental loss, not just to the family and the rebels, but to all Deltans and Nigerians in general. Added that he impacted society positively in several ways. The governor prayed God to give the bereaved family the fortitude to bear the loss. And also a special court session in honor of late Chief George Uweche, a senior advocate of Nigeria, held today at the new High Court complex of the State Judiciary Headquarters, Asaba. The State Chief Judge, Justice Teresa Diagi, in her address at the occasion, paid glowing tribute to the former chairman of the body of benches, describing him as a legal luminary who played a pivotal role in the judiciary system of the nation. Henry Siayo now reports.
Justice Jaye said the late Chief Uwechwe was a model of integrity, generous with his time and resources with an unshakable commitment to the legal profession. She noted that the contribution of the late jurist in his achievement in the legal profession and political service to the nation earned him a special court session as a parting farewell.
A special court session such as this is a solemn occasion to honor a distinguished member of this noble profession who has departed the world. It is a time for sober reflection on life generally, where members of the various streets of the legal profession are afforded the opportunity of paying tributes concerning and touching on the life and times of the deceased member.
The Solicitor General of the state, the representative of the Body of Senior Advocates of Nigeria, the President of the Nigeria Bar Association, NBA, and the State Chairman of the Nigeria Bar Association, among others, in their remarks said the late Chief George Uwechwe was a quintessential practitioner and a respected elder statesman who had distinguished himself within and outside the legal profession.
There is no doubt that on whatever scale that Chief George Uwechwe's contribution to the legal profession is measured, the outcome will be of a man who destroyed the legal profession as a colossus. A man who through hard work, grit, determination, and forthrightness rose to the zenith of the legal profession. His life was an inspiration.
We must remain conscious of the transcendent nature of life and daily rely on God to teach us to know our days, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom.
His tenure as chairman of the Body of Benchers was very eventful, which resulted in the award of excellence to him by the Body of Benchers in 2019. I wish to bid our learned brother still, Honorable Justice, Honorable Chief George Uwechwe, farewell.
Believe that there is a next. We have thought deeper and believe, like Tagore, that death is not extinguishing the light. It is putting out the lamp because the dawn has come. He shall be greatly missed by family members, the Nigerian Bar Association Asaba branch, and the bar at large.
Speaking on behalf of the family, Mrs. Sally Uwechwe Mbanefo described her late father as a quintessential man who was passionate about his profession and full of humor, adding that his demise has left a huge gap in their hearts.
He was fantastic. He was a quintessential lawyer. But for the family, to us, he was what we'll call a quintessential father. He was passionate about loving us. As much as he was passionate about his work, he was passionate about the family. He was humble. He was very simple. And he loved us so much that he kept us together. He was also a man with a great sense of humor, even to the last minute.
Justice Diaye later led dignitaries present to pay their last respects to the late Chief George Uwechwe. Henry Usiayo reporting.
Managed to make judicious use of their life on earth to impact on others through charity. The parish priest of St. John Mary Vianney Catholic Church Asaba, Reverend Father Benjamin Okafor, gave the admonishment at a vigil mass held in honor of late Sir Andy Ilabo. Henry Siayo reports.
In a homily, the parish priest of the St. John Mary Vianney Catholic Church,
Reverend Father Okafor said God was more interested in the efforts believers put in serving rather than in whom they were. He urged Christians to live lives that would impact on their neighbors and serve God to the fullest, so that when they were no more, their good works would be a testimony for them. The clergyman encouraged believers to take solace in the Lord, as death was an inevitable price that must be paid by everyone. He recalled the late Dr. Ilabo as one who was committed to serving God and paid rapt attention during services. Prayer was said for the family interview, described the deceased as a devoted Christian who also contributed to the development of the state, saying the state had lost a rare gem.
Dr. Andy Ilabo, a brother of mine, he was definitely very useful to me in the state, beyond our friendship. In his place of work, he was definitely very, very useful to the state and did achieve a lot. He had lots of friends across, and he's just the kind of man every man would want to meet with and be his friend.
Late Dr. Andy Ilabo, first I would say was a very dedicated Catholic who, to the best of my knowledge, never missed 6:30 a.m. Mass in this parish. But he's one of those who contributed seriously to the development of this state. And the different positions he occupied, bringing about development, human capital development, touching lives of people, bringing people to know what sustainable development is.
He was a quintessential gentleman, as the booklet aptly put it, and of course self-effacing member of the Order of the Knights of St. Mulumba while he was with us. He was calm, very gentle. He went about his duties peaceably to the admiration of everyone.
Things can be said about Dr. Andy Ilabo, but I will just say in one word, he was a gentleman.
He was one of our leaders in the North politics.
I know he's in a better place, and I will just carry on. I can't do most things that I normally do with him.
People of Ila will miss him, PDP will miss him, and people should not miss him. Indeed, we've lost somebody who we consider as a pillar.
The late Dr. Andy Ilabo was a one-time Director General of the State's Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and a member of the Knights of St. Mulumba in the Catholic faith. Henry Usiayu reporting.
Thought for the day. When people are determined, they can overcome anything. To end the news, the main points again. Governor Sheriff Oborewori has directed the Delta State Bursary and Scholarship Board to commence payment of the 2023 bursary to qualified students of the state origin by the first week of February. The governor called for more solidarity from the students' community towards the pursuit and fulfillment of his more agenda. The State Ministry of Justice has indicated its readiness to partner with the Delta State Orientation Bureau and other stakeholders in the war against illicit drug use, illegal migration, and all forms of abuse. The State Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Mr. Omamuzo Erebe, gave the indication when he played host to the Chief Executive Officer of the Orientation Bureau and Executive Assistant to the Governor on Communication and Orientation, Dr. Wilfred Oganeziwe, in his office in Asaba. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has constructed a 150 million litre storage facility for the Port Harcourt Refining Company ahead of full operations of the plant. It said the storage facility was constructed in Atlas Cove, adding that the company had signed build, operate and transfer agreement for the rehabilitation of pipelines and storage facilities nationwide. And from the foreign scene, we brought you the report where UN's Palestinian Refugee Agency, UNRWA, says at least 12 people were killed and 75 injured when U.S. facility sheltering civilians was struck in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. UNRWA said 2 shells hit Khan Yunis Training Center during lighting in the city's western outskirts. And that's the news. Many thanks for being part of it. My name is Francis Ofulue. Have a lovely evening. Good night.